5, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, this is Pods and Ends, the junk drawer of pop culture and geek podcasts. Well, hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Pods and Ends. In today's show, we have Off the Shelf, What's Your Jam?, The Locker Room, Netflix and Chill, and the main event of The Silver Screen. But before we go any further, let's introduce who we've got here today. I'm Phil.
It's Sophie.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Shelby.
So, once again, episode 4, we have a whole full contingent of Pods and Ends
Woohoo!
hosts. That's what we are,
Gangs are
hosts.
here.
Yes, it is.
So, let's get straight in there. Off the Shelf.
Turn off the television. In fact, why don't you turn off all the lights except for the one over your favourite chair? It's time for Off the Shelf.
Soph, to you?
Yeah, I have just tonight finished my book that I've been reading. It's taken me almost a month to finish this particular one. I'm deep into the New Jedi Order at the moment, which, if anyone's listening who's kind of completely new to us, might not know. I don't know. Maybe most of you do. But Star Wars have books. They've all had books for years and years and years. Spinning off of the films. Actually, you probably would have heard that from our Expanded Universes episode the other week. And so the New Jedi Order was what is now being classified as Legends. So this is all pre the Disney takeover. And it is a 19 series of books, like a 19-book series, spanning kind of... It's an entire war. And I'm very, very close to the end at the moment. But I thought Off the Shelf was a good opportunity for me to just bring up this series. I won't go into Star Wars books in general because it's just like, where do you even begin? But the New Jedi Order in particular was quite a divisive, would that be fair to say? It was a Marmite series. I think only Brian's read it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you read the whole thing, right?
I've skipped a couple books. I don't remember which ones. And I think I did it in, not the right order. But I just read them, like, how I found them. I used to get all my Star Wars books secondhand. So I would just pick up whatever I happen to have. So I got through it. I basically know what happens.
Yeah.
Long for life.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Long for life, indeed. But people kind of like, this was probably the last Jedi of its time, right? Apart from maybe like the prequels.
Yeah, I was going to say, aside from the prequels are the first really like love it or hate it Star Wars thing. And then the Vong were, but I mean, I guess that's just because they're, the extra stuff has always been like a layer below, where the movies, you have those quote unquote regular fans that make their opinions about it. And the same with The Last Jedi, any regular person can tell you what they think of that. But, it's the inside baseball people that either love or hate the Vong. And hate means that you're wrong. So just saying.
Thanks, they're awesome. It's basically the thing I've enjoyed about it. Not only getting to spend 19 books, it is a massive commitment, and I know that it's off-putting. It was off-putting for someone, even I was put off by it, and I'm a relatively quick reader, so it's a big endeavor. But something I actually really enjoy the fact that I feel we can get really, really stuck into these characters and the events. I know these characters better than any characters I know. I've never read anything with more than 19 books before, sort of Jason and Jaina are pretty much as fully formed to me as, Han, Luke and Leia. But the particularly fun thing about the New Jedi Order is it goes into this uncharted territory of, it's not the Empire or some sort of Imperial remnant or, it's an alien invasion in Star Wars. And to me, that's awesome.
That was actually my favorite part of it too. It was so different. They didn't find like clone 375 of the Emperor and suddenly the dark side is back. Oh no. But it was something completely different, and they actually have this like weird voidness of force. So it's not like the alternate; it's the absence of. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah,
please go that direction again, Star Wars.
Yeah, it was an interesting handicap, I thought. I'm actually really down for anything that stifles the Jedi's power slightly, which is weird because I do love the Force and I love it when, you know, Sith and Jedi clash and all the rest of it. But at the same time, I am into that whole, hamstringing the Jedi slightly. So the Ysalamiri I was always pretty into as well. That was quite a fun thing of like, well, let's see Luke figure out how to get out of this situation without the Force. Even if the premise is a little bit dumb, I like seeing him having to work his way out of a situation rather than just boom, Force, God powers, which was similar with the Vong. Like, they have to actually really think, and sometimes they don't pull it off, and they die repeatedly, which is really awkward. Especially when you're reading these books in public, like I do. I tend to do most of my reading in coffee shops, and I've embarrassed myself reading these books in coffee shops and then doing some public crying, which was super embarrassing.
This coffee just makes me really emotional.
I was just like, luckily I've got long hair, so it kind of like fell across and I just was, But anyway, if you haven't checked out The New Jedi Order, I highly recommend it. It is a big commitment, but it's worth it.
Yeah, they're good stories.
Okay, so we normally have our True Beauty update right now, but unfortunately one member of the team hasn't read it.
Well, two, technically, because I've never read any of it.
I got halfway through and then I had to stop for some reason.
You're not included in this, Brian.
Thank you.
Oh. It was really a great episode this week, and I'm excited to talk about it when someone finishes.
Sorry.
Yeah, take that 2 minutes out of your day. Rather than check in Twitter or something.
Okay.
Take those 2 minutes out of your day and read it.
I'm not going to lie, right? This week has been my finest week on Twitter. Like, if you're following me on Twitter, like, maybe don't bother now, because it doesn't get better. I think we all know what I'm talking about here. It was my Star Wars coffee shop.
That was great. Honestly.
I've peaked, haven't I? I've peaked. It doesn't get any better than that. I was writing it thinking this is my Sistine Chapel, so to speak, of Twitter. And, that's a little shameless self-plug there. Go on over, read my coffee shop menu, and then your life will be complete, basically. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I probably haven't read True Beauty, as I might have been doing that. But I'll catch up, I promise, guys.
Make sure you follow, like, and retweet.
You're right.
So, moving on nicely, what's your jam?
Far out, man. What's your jam?
Shelby, you're up. Tell us, what's your jam?
Okay, so
brace yourselves.
It's not my jam, but it's something that you need to listen to understand where we are in this point of, I don't know, existence in human existence. For the Aquaman movie, there is a song called Oceans to Oceans, and it's by Pitbull. And it's a cover of Toto's Africa.
And it's god awful.
Oh, but some people like it.
No, and
some people are like, I want to hate this, but I like it. I don't.
Yeah,
but
it's bad. It's not.
It's pretty
good.
bad. It's painful. But it was making me think about how this is probably, I don't know, there's this new trend of everyone covering this song. And I wonder if it's going to, continue. Maybe this will eventually be one of the most covered songs if this trend keeps going.
Yeah, but this isn't even a true cover. They just sing the chorus in between him rapping about nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
Mr.
And then
Worldwide.
he straight up steals a Jay-Z lyric too. So, just saying. But
which one was that? Is it repeatable, actually?
Yeah, wouldn't smash a grape in a fruit fight. It's from I don't remember, some Jay-Z song. But anyway, maybe that's like a common saying somewhere in Miami. Isn't that where Pitbull
but would you do surgery on a grape?
What?
You don't know that joke?
No.
What?
Oh my goodness, do neither of you even go on the internet ever?
I try not to.
Did you know this?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's just a thing that went round about a week ago.
Yeah, It's basically talking about how it was always a thing that people were saying, and now we can do surgery on a grape. I don't know.
Basically, you can peel back the skin and then put it back and manipulate what a grape is because you can be so delicate with it. And then it became like a big thing. You know, like the moth on the light thing.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. It was crazy for like a week and then it went away.
Yeah.
Isn't that everything on the internet?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the definition of viral?
Y'all missed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a great joke for the people who know it. It was an amazing joke, wasn't it, Phil?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, whatever.
Thank you.
Exactly.
But
Talking about good jokes.
Do you want to do your good joke? Go ahead.
Oh no.
So, if your mum is so fat that when she was in Hogwarts, the Sorting Hat had to put her in all 4 houses.
Oh my god.
Okay, carry on, shall we?
Excited he gets to
I
tell
know.
these.
I know.
Anyway.
Oceans to
Back to-
Oceans is
back
a
to
really
Mr.
bad
Worldwide,
song,
yeah.
but you should listen to it to appreciate how hilariously bad it is the story that I'm trying to tell.
And here's, like, from my point of view, I took it to a really weird, like, philosophical place. And for me, it is, like, a metaphor for DC versus Marvel. Because DC comes out with this new movie, and they're like, yeah, we're going to pump this movie. Guess what we're going to use as publicity? Here's this song by Pitbull, and it's garbage. And you know what? Their movies are usually garbage. So
It's
you
very
feel
true.
really passionate
Yeah.
about this.
I do. You know, and it's sad, too, because I haven't even seen any of the DC movies. Like, I should
I
watch
did.
them so that I can
I think
say with
Aquaman's gonna be
authority
good.
that,
I think
no,
it's gonna
dude,
be
it's not.
good.
It's going to be bad.
I'm going to
It
go
does
in
not
and
even
have...
look
You know
good.
what? I hope it's so bad that it's hilariously bad, just like this song. And I want to go see it.
Okay, it does have that feel to it. It feels like it could be like so over the top, goofy, like I don't
Maybe
even
the
know,
song
slapstick action movie that it could be good and as far as entertaining.
Maybe this song
That has no
is
chance of
exactly
being actually
what this
good, though.
movie's going to be like. I hope
Maybe.
so. I do.
Maybe it really is a metaphor.
Who knows? What did you guys think of this song?
It was, to be honest.
I loved it.
Oh my
I
God,
don't
go
think
away.
He did not. I was more grateful that what happened was it started me on an internet spiral where I then listened to the original and I then watched an edit of the throne room scene from The Last Jedi with Africa covering over it.
Nice.
It was sublime. I'm not gonna lie, it was really sublime. But I'm just struggling to see how this song fits with the movie and like the ocean. I'm not sure how the whole thing kind of links
Well,
together.
you see, when
and
you
it's-
bless the rains down in
yeah.
Africa, they eventually
rain is
run
water?
into the ocean, and
Which is
then
where Aquaman
Aquaman.
Is going to rule
Splashes
ocean
around
to
in it.
ocean.
Oh,
No, I don't
Okay.
know. That's,
Well,
That
the
was
story
a
is that
huge
the
stretch.
Yeah.
war of the ocean is coming to land, and
Mhm.
so he's got to do something to stop his, I guess, half brother.
Wow, you're way more into Aquaman than I ever
I watched
imagined.
the trailer. I watched one trailer.
I did too, but I didn't pay that much attention.
Well, I wanted to
missed
know
it. I
what
was-
story they're trying to tell.
I just assumed they don't tell stories in DC.
Oh my gosh, you're blinded by this hate.
Wonder Woman was good.
Yes,
It was average.
we're not getting into this conversation right now. What
Yeah.
do you have? What do you
We'll
have
just-
for your What's Your Jam?
We have something. Well, no, it's not we, is it? It's me because I've been. Well, sort
Is
of
it
you. We
BTS?
watched The Greatest
Is it Big Bang?
Showman. Yeah,
Mhm.
we watched The Greatest Showman, which then led us to start listening to the Greatest Showman reimagined soundtracks, which I don't know if they're. I don't know what's happening with your radios, but they're all over the radio at the moment because Pink covered.
Basically, people want to sell the CD for Christmas.
Yeah,
Or
basically.
the download, I don't know what
Yeah.
people get nowadays.
I mean, it's a little bit one of these things of like, are we fiddling with something that's not broken? Maybe. But I have got a heavy kind of Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron bias going on, like running in the background here. So just bear with me on this. But we've got Pink covered A Million Dreams. Panic at the Disco did The Greatest Show, and Anne-Marie and James Arthur, who's like some Burke who won X Factor over here, covered Rewrite the Stars. And that's all I think that are out. They're the ones that are on our radio. No, Panic at the Disco isn't even on our radios at the moment, is it? Which is annoying because that's probably the best one.
It makes sense. Like that's like
Yeah, that seems like something
That's
that would be
their
right up
roots,
their alley. Yeah.
is this
It
cabaret.
did actually, yeah. I was really into that one, actually. I did like that.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm intrigued.
Pink in A Million Dreams.
Her daughter sings the
Yeah.
young girl's part, and then she sings the other part, and it's very good.
Yeah, it is a good cover.
Rewrite
that's
the
the next one.
stars.
I'm not on that one yet. I'm on A Million Dreams. I do miss the man singing it, because there is something about Hugh Jackman coming in on A Million Dreams which I really enjoy. Because you sort of start with the young kid singing.
You're Hugh Jackman. Jeez.
I just think the man's talented, especially at this sort of thing. But yeah, Pink's version was good, and like you say, it was pretty cute with her daughter coming in. And then Anne-Marie and James Arthur, like I've said, James Arthur's a bit of a douche, to be honest. I'm not a fan of him, and he's no Zac Efron. Anne-Marie was really, really good. Exactly. Right. Yeah, Anne-Marie was good. It should have probably been Anne-Marie and Zac Efron, maybe, not to do Zendaya out of her part, because she was still pretty good.
She was average, and he was Zac Efron, just carries it all.
He's just so good. But anyway, yes, The Greatest Showman reimagined. It was
I leave Zac Efron.
You'd leave me for Zac Efron.
That's what I mean, yeah.
I felt like that was where this was going.
I wouldn't leave Zac Efron for you. That's what I was
Oh my goodness.
I'd be fine with that.
So
come and hang
did
out.
you guys hear that Hugh Jackman's going to be doing a tour of...
Yes.
One of my staff at work bought tickets in Birmingham, England, and she wasn't very happy with her seats because they were near the back. So then she bought tickets in London as well, and spent over 200 quid.
Really?
And she's going to see him twice. And I said, you should sell one set. And she's like, no, I'm not going to sell one set. I'm
Have
going to
they
see him
sold
twice.
out?
I guess so.
I was going to say, I'd actually probably go and see that. Unless it's just going to be him performing the song. Is it going to be the whole thing done as a musical?
No, it's him singing various
just
West
him
End
singing.
songs.
It's him
isn't it?
singing stuff from Greatest Showman, from Les Mis.
Les Mis, yeah. Probably Oklahoma.
I mean,
And
I'd
then
go.
the other one where he does a bit of tap dance.
I was
I'd
gonna
go
say, I
if
think
someone gave
yeah.
me tickets. I would never buy them.
I'd buy them if
depends
they
how
were under
much.
$100. I would be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, because it's nice to go to London every now and then, isn't it? Get dressed up, go to the West End.
Go to St. Paul's Cathedral.
Who knows? Maybe London will come to you one day.
Well,
Oh.
it's interesting, isn't it?
Wow. Well
Did you see
done.
what we did there?
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's been my jam this week. No K-pop. Well, there's K-pop obviously, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to be that guy.
Next up, we have Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill.
So I'm going in first here. I watched The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is 2 hours and 13 minutes long.
What? Tell us about it, Phil. Is it a film?
It's kind of a film, yes, but it's lots of short stories, approximately 15 to 20 minutes long each. I put into Google Netflix Hidden Gems, and it was a suggestion. And I thought, well, I've got 2 hours and 13 minutes to spare. I might as well watch it. Mm. And the first one was really good. There's about probably 4. I think there were 7 stories. 4 out of 7 stories were really good. Some of them were probably a bit too much for me, you know.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I just want to sit back and not take too much attention on what's going on.
What you're saying, they're quite heavy?
They have a purpose and a point. It's the Coen brothers.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the ones they tried to put in theaters so they could be like...
Oh, yeah, I think so. Considered for nominations.
Thanks. I lost my train of thought.
You could kind of see what they were going, but the ones that were a little bit more funny and had a bit more humour behind them definitely resonated, good word, with me better than the serious ones. I was just like sat there at one point like, oh god, I hope this hurries up and we can get on to the next story.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's very clever, really well shot, and yeah, there's some twists in some of the stories, but you could see the twist coming. It wasn't that like, oh wow. But yeah, it was good, and it did make me chuckle a couple of times. And the first 15 minutes in particular is worth watching because the Mr. Scruggs himself is very, very amusing.
Okay.
So yeah,
nice.
I would recommend watching it if you think, what should I watch? Give it a look. And then I've also started watching Saving Private Ryan.
Oh,
started.
Yeah,
just couldn't
I watched
hack
the
it
first. I watched the first half an hour and just got really sad. Ended up thinking about my granddad and what they had to go through, and thinking it seems quite. The first half an hour seems very realistic to actually what the war was like and getting onto the beaches in like Normandy.
I was going to say, what is it? Is it D-Day landings?
No, there's 4 brothers. 3 of them have died, and there's a band of people going in to save Private Ryan, basically.
Oh, I see.
But the opening scene is they go onto the beach and then they get the orders to go and get him. Right. I'm about an hour in, and there's about 4 hours left, probably, because it is quite long.
Probably one of my favorite war movies.
Yeah, it's, I think, pretty universally acclaimed for being, like you said, pretty realistic for the way that things happened, and just, yeah, it's one of those movies that's just good. Like, I was
just having one of those days where I was thinking, yeah, I definitely need to watch something a bit more lighthearted because this is just going to make me really sad.
Right.
Thinking about all the poor, 19, 18-year-old boys that just wasted their lives fighting for nonsense.
Is that, well...
They were fighting for a good cause, but it was caused in nonsense because human beings are terrible people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said, but I feel like we need a good alien invasion just to sort of give us.
We need a good alien invasion.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just let's have some perspective and realise that we're all the same. Is that why you put A Million Ways to Die in the West on as well? Then for a bit of light-hearted. We won't dive into that. There's nothing insightful about that film at all.
So it's interesting because my Netflix and chill at the end of it, which was a very abrupt end, it recommended Ballad of Buster Scruggs as the next thing to watch. So definitely on our list, but we finished The Kominsky Method.
Talk about heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it was heavy, but also funny. I don't know. If you like Grace and Frankie, I would say definitely watch this because the common thread is it's about old people.
Yeah,
and they're funny.
The older generation, what you kind of do after, because the middle age is kind of what most shows concentrate on, and you don't get a lot of main characters being old. You'll have a lot of grandfather characters and things like that to come up. So it's interesting that it centers on the next step in our age.
Right, and you can't have a show with your main characters being that age without talking about death.
Right, yeah, I mean...
And most people don't like to talk about death, and they don't like to think about it in ways that are funny, or ways that are amusing, or just more normal, instead of it being this awful tragedy. When you're that age, that's the age where you start to die, not from tragic deaths, but just because you're old.
Yeah, I always remember I used to go over to my Nana's house, and she'd always go through the obituaries just to see if anyone she knew died. It was just a routine thing. It wasn't a somber thing or anything. It was just kind of and she'd get to one, she'd be like, oh, okay. And just, it's just the way it's kind of like looking to see if anyone you knew was in the paper for winning the lottery or something.
Yeah. But it's a good show. I would say don't expect too much development because it's really short. It's oddly short, and the episodes are short. They're about 22 to 25 minutes, and I think there's 7 or 8.
I think it was 8. I can't remember.
It was 8, but we got to that one, and it just ended.
Yeah, we were just waiting for the next episode to start because it had no feeling of finality or anything. It didn't feel like the end. It felt like the middle part of a series, and the next episode was going to carry on the story, and then there just weren't anymore.
And then it said Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's a really good show. I would highly recommend it. I hope that they're doing a second season. I don't know if they are yet.
Yeah, I don't know either. The acting's phenomenal, though. Yeah, it's worth watching. Good stuff. Pretty heavy. Cried a couple times.
once we're done recording today, we're actually going to finish watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, the Christmas special.
Nice.
So far, we're halfway through.
Christmas.
We're halfway through, and it's really good. It's actually a continuation of the story from where we left off in the last season, and I think they're taking it in a good direction. I was really scared it was going to be a clip show or something reflective.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be that, or just some, I don't know,
a storyline that doesn't matter at all, but so far it definitely seems to matter.
Yeah, I don't think you can skip this and then go into the second season.
Not
it
filler.
Sounds like, this might actually be important. So, fun.
No, that's on our radar, isn't it, to get stuck into that one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, that leads nicely on to the locker room. Listen up, sports fans. It's time for the locker room. So, big news. Sorry. Hello there, this is Jay Jerison of the locker room for the Pods and Ends podcast. Today we have some big news coming in from the United Kingdom. Wiltshire, the county of Wiltshire in England, played the county of Oxfordshire in England. And one of the hosts, Phil, was playing for Wiltshire, and they ended up winning. So now they're in the quarterfinals.
Boom.
So we now have to play Devon, who beat Dorset by one shot.
Ooh, Devon are good.
If we'd have played Dorset, it would have been really awkward because that was my old county before I moved to Wiltshire.
I was going to say, wasn't that your old...
But we're playing Devon. Devon are very good, but we've got a good chance. We've got a good team ethic. We've got a good team structure. We're fighting. If you check out, it's on Facebook somewhere. If you put in Five Rivers Bowls Club, you can see a photograph of the young lads that we all play with.
The Moonrakers.
The Moonrakers, exactly. And in more news, Tottenham are through to the last 16 of the Champions League. The draw is Monday, and they went to Barcelona. For any soccer fans out there, Barcelona are one of the best teams in Europe. And they managed to get a draw, which put them through to the next round. So, congratulations to Tottenham.
Is that because, hold on, reference from last week, Lionel Messi isn't all that great, yeah?
He only played 20 minutes.
Well, still, he should have been able to do a lot more in 20 minutes, right? Just saying.
And that's all we have from the locker room today. So now we are going on to the silver screen main event.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the silver screen.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mortal Engines, or The Mortal Engines.
I think it's Mortal Engines, isn't it?
Yeah, no, the
No,
articles need not apply. They are simply Mortal Engines.
This is really fresh in our minds.
We just watched it.
We just watched it. We went to the 10:30 a.m. showing, and I have to say, going to a 10:30 a.m. movie was amazing.
Yeah, it was. I'd never been to a movie, I don't think, before like 3.
I think I've been to a 1 o'clock, but never anything before noon.
Yeah, it was pretty cool just to rock up. And
I went to Back to the Future 25th anniversary at 9 a.m. in the morning. Sat in the cinema, was the only person in there. And they didn't play the film because they didn't think they sold any tickets. So I had to go back into the foyer and say, I've been sat here 15 minutes waiting for the film to start. And they said, we didn't realise. Let's get you a coffee. So they got me a coffee, and then I went in and watched the film all by myself. It was literally the best thing ever.
That sounds awesome.
So yeah.
Was
it busy?
Coffee machine, no, but the coffee machine was down, and that was very disappointing.
Yeah, Shelby was very let down. So we had the Atlantean coffee, Coca-Cola.
Yes, we did.
Probably did the trick.
Yeah. But it was a really good movie, and I enjoyed watching it at early in the morning.
Yeah. I was stoked for this one. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I just finished reading the book, actually, this morning. So I finished the book.
He finished the last page while we were in the parking lot.
Nice.
I did. She drove so I could finish reading. And I finished the book, walked into the movie and saw it, and it was just like Mortal Engines mayhem. It was terrific. So what were your guys' initial opinions?
Sophie, have you read the book?
Not yet, no.
No, I think I'm the only one.
You're the only one, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the only book snob.
I
get to be that guy.
You can,
I get to do the actually.
In the book, well, like this.
I loved the CGIs.
Excellent.
For the world itself.
I just loved it, the whole thing.
And it was amazing it being like London.
Because
so many places in it were exactly like London.
Really?
We should probably
like Tottenham,
say this
like
is
when they went into the subway to get down to the lower...
The underground, yeah.
The reaches. Tottenham Court Station is a station in the centre of London.
There were lots of little touches
and
that
the
were
tile,
still...
like the white tiles with the green is exactly what it's like. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. There were a lot of things. I mean, you have these sort of obligatory red phone box, didn't you? I'm surprised there wasn't a bus going around or something, but maybe they thought, we'll keep it. But even the two...
They don't have buses anymore.
Yeah.
The two lions.
The two lions at the front of... they're obviously like supersized from Trafalgar Square and stuff like that, and obviously St Paul's, and the fact that St Paul's still stood. So yeah, there were a few things dotted around that were quite fun as like people who've been to London to see, and it was, I think, quite apt as well that it was the bad guy, because that's, I
didn't say it's the bad guy. I was rooting for London the whole time.
Were you?
Yeah.
You're the only person on London's side.
Well, the idea that London is eating up other cities,
Europe, right,
and other places around the world.
Yeah, that it's sort of
colonialism.
Exactly, kind of barreling across Europe. I was just like, yeah, I'm
So do you think?
Convinced.
Let's go deep early. Do you think that they based it on it being London because London has very iconic, like, architecture and places, and people go, "Oh, London, yeah, I've seen that in pictures." Even if they've not been to London, where if they'd have chosen a different city, it might not have been as recognisable. Or is it, like you said, because
colonialism?
Back in the day, we used to rule the world.
Well,
girls.
Tried to.
Well, we did.
Okay, let's not like.
Quite a lot of the world was owned by the UK.
I know, but
and
also
then...
you could argue the Roman Empire was just as big.
Yeah.
One was longer, wasn't it? I feel like one was bigger and one was longer. I can't remember what way around it is.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
We won't have an argument about that on this podcast. We'll wait till we finish.
I'd argue New York. Usually these things happen in New York, don't they? And so I was mildly surprised that it wasn't going to be, if there was going to be a city, that a film is based around, you'd think New York. So I was mildly surprised that they didn't go that way. And yeah, as a Brit, I found it quite fun that it was London. The only other one could have been Paris with a little Eiffel Tower poking up out of the top. I could have been into that as well.
I feel like New York in itself doesn't really want to eat up anything else. New York is like, we're New York and you're not.
Yeah.
New York doesn't want to own anything else, in my opinion. New York is all about being itself. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of American cities are like that, except for maybe LA. LA could definitely be sold to me as a city that eats other cities.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I mean, there's also the concept of the United States having to traverse huge spans of ocean is probably too much.
Well, yeah, I think it was more of a logistical thing that they had it be London because then they can go and like work their way through Europe and hit to that Eastern stronghold situation. Whereas if it was an American city, you would have to really remake the map for them to get anywhere other than America. Like you could do like LA trying to come eat New York, which would be kind of funny for
honestly
like
LA versus New York
level. But yeah, I think it speaks to a wider audience to use the locales they did. And I don't know if Philip Reeve, the author, is English or American. I don't know. That might have a lot to do with it too.
Potentially. I also got me thinking, actually, I mean, I don't know if this is elaborated on in the books or whether it will be. I actually thought, what did all this originate in America? Is America even still standing at this point? Sort of its absence from any kind of reference made me think, ooh, is it not okay over there or something? So I don't know if some of the problems originated over there and there's actually like no America anymore. I don't know. Although she had an American accent, didn't she? The main actress, Hester Shaw. I'm pretty sure she kept her American accent, I think. So I don't know whether there was or not, but it got me wondering, like, yeah, what's the state of the rest of the globe if this is what's going on with like Europe and Asia? How's everybody else doing?
Well, they in the books go on an expedition to America, and you saw in the movie they saw the relics from America was the two stupid minions.
The American deities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do that in the book too. They talk about how everything gets destroyed in the 60-minute war, and then the archaeologists start digging things up, and they're trying to form their ideas of the ancients based on what they find. So they thought Mickey Mouse was a deity because they found all these great big statues of Mickey Mouse. So they're like, well, this guy must have been really important. So it's interesting things like that.
Yeah,
but
I also was looking at all of that where they're trying to understand things from the ancients, which is what they call the Ancient Ones in Horizon Zero Dawn. And they talk about all these weird things that they used to do, and they start talking about literal coffee mugs, and they have all these ideas of what they used them for. And the main character at one point says maybe they just drank out of them, and they're like, "Oh no."
Yeah, it couldn't be that simple. That's ridiculous. But yeah, it is fun to kind of like, I don't know, it's like poking fun at ourselves, really, to think of how we'll be looked at in, centuries to come. But
yeah,
the joke about the screens.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah, the screen era.
Age.
Yeah, the screen age. That was it. Like, that is literally the age we are in. We have Bronze Age, Stone Age, Screen Age.
I just
looked it up. He's from England.
Yeah.
He is from England.
Lives in Dartmoor at the moment.
He was born in Brighton.
Oh, cute. Brighton's fun.
Cute.
Brighton's fun, but that wouldn't be going on a rampage anytime soon. So he did pick right with London, didn't he?
Yeah.
I have to admit, I loved I loved the concept of this film. I was hooked really, really early on. Sometimes it takes me, when I go in completely cold, I hadn't even seen a trailer for this film or anything. And so
wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I was totally cold going into this. And it normally takes me a little while to kind of get into the feel of things. But I very, very quickly loved the concept of this. Like when you first see, like these cities on wheels really doesn't do this justice, but these kind of, these moving cities and then this moving little town, and initially I was thinking, are we going to get some Mad Max vibes going on here? But I think it established itself as very much its own original thing. I thought it was a very original concept, which I was really into as well. You have these plucky little towns kind of zipping around, and then you just have like the Goliath of London coming along, and it was literally like begin ingestion or something like that. And I was like, it's so visceral, It's
take the shot, like it's hunting.
Yeah, yes. That's what they refer to it as in the book. England, or London rather, had been stuck in its own little island. They crossed the land bridge into the hunting grounds for the first time, and everyone's like, ooh, what are we gonna do? And the whole idea is that the prey, the smaller towns, are all being, hunted to extinction. And it's only the big ones left, and they don't want to mess with each other. Yeah. So everyone's kind of hiding. And then London sort of comes out of hiding. It's like a big deal. And you see all the people like cheering on because they haven't done this for a while.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Yeah, so I was into it as a concept overall. I thought it was really cool, and there's hints of this massive world and this massive history that's going on there. Like with the 60-second war and everything. Mm-hmm. But you're not. I didn't think there was info dumping. In fact, I was left wanting a lot more from this afterwards, but like in a good way. I didn't feel unfulfilled at the end of it. I felt I had all the information I needed to enjoy the film. But it's left me going like, yeah, maybe I will pick up the books, or I hope there is another film because, I'd love to know more about the war, or about, there was just so much that was left unsaid that I think was really, really good.
And it starts your quest for the expanded universe.
Yes, right.
I want to know everything now.
Same.
Well, there are 5 total books, so I think it's a 4-part series specifically about, I guess, Hester and Tom. Mm-hmm. And then there's a 5th book that's just kind of out there in the ether. So I'm definitely going to get on board because I enjoy it. Like you said, the world is terrific. This is one of my favorite new IPs that I've encountered in the last, I don't know, probably decade.
I loved that the prison thing was like going through the water too.
Yes. Serious Azkaban vibes there of like,
out
on the stormy sea. But then
Azkaban,
it was walking.
Alcatraz, all that stuff. Yeah. All kind of.
What did you all think of I suppose, we've got the world here. What did you all think of the characters then?
All right. I bawled like a baby. What's his name again?
Shrike.
Yeah,
they did him wonderfully.
He was scary to start off with. There was an actual...
If I were small, I'd be so scared.
Yeah, I had a little, flutter with those sort of the glowing eye. I mean, can someone sort of help me out a bit with, what was he exactly? Was he like a cyborg?
Yes.
Yeah? Is that okay? Because I was a little unclear at one point where I was like, how much of him is organic and how much was...
It's basically
machine?
Just like his head, and everything else is a machine.
Okay.
Yeah. they called them, I think, the Lazarus Squad or something like that. I liked that. And then the Resurrected Men, and they also referred to them as stalkers in the books. I don't remember if they said that in the movie or not. They did? Okay. So yeah, they kind of went with 3 different nomenclatures there for him. But yeah, he was supposedly the last one still functioning. And it was interesting the way they did it in the movie versus the book. It was similar, but not the same. Like, Shrike had kind of decided to let Hester go. Okay. And then the technology and stuff was a lot different in the book. It was actually Chrome was the head bad guy, and Valentine was kind of like his lapdog.
Right.
And then they figured out the technology to do the resurrected ones again. They started making their own. And they're like, hey, Shrike, we know that you really like Hester and you want to stop her pain and suffering. So if you go find her and kill her and bring her back, we'll make her a resurrected one for you. And you guys can live together forever. Wouldn't that be fun?
I get it now.
And he was like, okay, I'll do that.
Lazarus. As in, like,
Lazarus,
the miracle of...
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so we are meant to interpret that as that he
loved her.
He loved her, because I didn't know if it was more like he raised her as a daughter, and therefore it was kind of a father-daughter relationship vibe going on there, or do we think he actually sort of loved her as
I think it's both.
Yeah. I don't think... I think he loved her as a companion. Okay. Not like a... I don't know.
Not the creepy kind.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a weird, like, possessive thing.
I mean, they're putting forth this idea that those that are these cyborgs, these resurrected men, they don't have true feelings.
Yeah, they're just supposed to be weapons. They were made as soldiers.
Yeah.
So they have feelings of, I care about you, and whatever facet that is. And I took it as whenever he realizes that she loves Tom, his whole point was to make her happy and make her not her happy, but make her not sad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Not broken. That was his whole thing. He collected these broken dolls and things and was trying to fix them. He couldn't fix Hester, so he was going to, like, unmake her so that he could put her back together in a way that she wouldn't have the capacity to be sad and depressed anymore. So she would be fixed in a manner of speaking.
Which is interesting. There's so much Greek mythology name dropping in this. Hester, the idea of Hester being maybe potentially like Hestia, which is the goddess of the hearth, which you would light something whenever a new city or a new domestic place was founded. Which is interesting because we're talking about cities and all of that.
Municipal Darwinism, baby.
Yeah. And so what did you think of Hester then, speaking of her? Like, what did everyone make of her as a character?
I mean, I loved her. I thought she was everything that I wanted her to be, and I don't think that her affection for Tom ever lessened her character.
No.
And it made sense. Like, the progression of her warming up to him made sense. It wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden I've met this boy and now I'm in love and I'm no longer cold and heartless.
Yeah. To be honest, I never actually even felt that she was... I know when her introduction, yes, she does seem quite cold, but actually she was always quite... There was a fire underneath her the whole time that I really liked. I actually, like, from quite a shallow level, I really liked that her scar was very vivid, and it's quite an ugly scar. And I don't know, sometimes there's a temptation, isn't there, in films to, you have this sort of dashing scar that runs across you, and it's sort of, they make it quite dainty and quite pretty, whereas I was like, this was a heck of a wound that she got, and the fact that they kept it there, but there's obviously, she was still a beautiful person, and obviously, Tom felt that attraction towards her, and I don't know, I really appreciated that. She wasn't your conventional heroine, so to speak, which I really liked. She was a very complicated character. Sometimes she was a bit of an ass to him, and sometimes he was a bit of an ass to her. It's just, they were both, I felt they were all quite real characters, very human, which I enjoyed. Did you like Hester, Phil? You've been uncharacteristically quiet.
I'm all about Anna Fang.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She was just brilliant.
I literally leant into Phil, didn't I? And I was like, Phil, I can feel I'm getting obsessed with her already. And she'd only been on the screen for like 10 minutes. I was just, that entrance for a character.
Oh yeah, she just rocks up with the sunglasses.
The sunglasses. Oh, and the
sunglasses
red
were amazing.
Yeah, the red coat, and I'm feeling
her hair, like everything about her.
Loved. And that, for me, one of the standout moments in the film was when she has that blade in the back of her boot, and she just did that like kind of crescent kick thing, a scorpion kick, isn't it, over her head into the dude's forehead. I was like, oh my god, that's so badass.
I like when she shoots the first guy and you just see his toupee like
Oh yeah, I was a big fan. What was her nickname again? It was
Windsong.
Oh.
Windflower.
Oh, sorry,
Windflower. Yeah, she was just so good. And again, I thought she was a really good example of like not spoon feeding us. You know, we were allowed to kind of jump to the conclusion. I thought there was definitely something with her and the other guy. I never caught his name actually. The other pilot, where there were like moments between them of so many like unspoken words where they kind of look at each other and you're like, yeah, there's history there's something, but we didn't need to know, so they just sort of kept it at that. And yeah, she was by far my favorite character, I have to say. So was she your favorite as well, Phil?
Yeah, I was slightly disappointed with Catherine Valentine. I didn't get that so much, the point of her, apart from being pretty and blonde.
Well, I wanted more of her, though. Like, I found her compelling. And I was like, give us more.
I kind of thought that she was there and she's like, oh, she's Tom's love interest.
Yeah, that was fun how they twisted that quite quickly.
And then it was like, okay, so that's...
she's not, yeah.
And then I was like, what's the point in her?
What's next? Yeah.
Okay, she's just Valentine's, like... connection on this earth, and he's going to basically betray her as well, and he doesn't care for anyone. But I didn't really understand, like, get the point, and she didn't. It felt that the story was built quite a lot that she was involved in, but wasn't actually involved in anything really, apart from the end where she put the brakes on, or opened the.
So should we have a bit of like book knowledge here then, Brian? Like what?
Yeah, I was going to say
help us out here.
He's chomping at the
My biggest complaint, book v movie, is Catherine, because she basically could have been taken out of the movie, as you say, and it would have made very little difference. But she is a huge thread throughout the novel. I mean, it basically goes back and forth between points of view, from talking about Tom and Hester, and then talking about Catherine, and then Bevis Pod, the guy that is basically not even there.
He vanished.
He plays a huge role in the book. So, yeah, Catherine and Bevis are sort of the in-town version of what Tom and Hester are in the book. They're much, much more important. And it was just funny to me. They included the cat's cradle, the little secret staircase.
Yeah.
And she got in there and they saw what they were doing, and then you didn't see her again for like half an hour.
Yeah.
It was just like, I think they kind of really wanted her to be part of the movie, but they couldn't find a way to work it out. I don't know. It was, I agree, pretty awkward. She was a bit disappointing, and not for any fault of her own, just because she kind of got the short straw, I guess, in the adaptation.
Yeah. I reckon there were a lot that could have been, I think she was sort of a victim of the cutting room, so to speak, and I felt there was a lot of potential there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
if that's true.
Yeah, and actually, if we're sort of, because I was going to say, let's have some like cons at the end, but actually, like, I don't want to finish on a downer because there's so much I loved about this film. But I think my main niggle, like Phil said, apart from Catherine, was actually Valentine himself, the dad. Can't quite remember his first name, Thaddeus or something like that. Yeah, Thaddeus. It was like
he criticising Hugo Weaving.
Only mildly, only very
his
mildly.
His acting was first class.
So he was great. I think that was my only complaint with the film, was sort of how.
What was his motivation?
What was his motive? Like, I found that he went from being like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's her dad and he's doing this and this could be really interesting. And you could have gone from the whole London is fighting for its survival, right? It's out there in these wastes, and then you come to the wall and you see behind the wall, there's clearly hints that there's a bountiful land behind it, and you've got London kind of fighting it out in the plains and chomping up other towns and stuff. And had it have been more of a, I'm doing this for London's survival, and it was kind of it was that kind of fight. It was, we're fighting for our lives here, where he then ended up becoming like a just twirling moustache, a moustache twirling villain of, I'm doing this for the power. Yes, exactly. I almost thought he was going to cackle at one point, and I just thought you could have had the potential to have something really quite powerful there of, even if when London lost, you'd be like, oh, but, they were only trying to stay alive. It could have been a bit, and then that could have been quite powerful again with Catherine. And so I think that was my only complaint, was sort of how his motive shifted, because I loved the background plotting and even taking out the mayor and stuff like that. And then he just towards the end got a little bit, cackling villain, as Hugo Weaving's characters are wont to do, to be fair. Maybe it's him. Maybe he just goes there. He's like, no, I want all the power of my character. But yeah, I think that was my only real gripe, actually, was him. And what did you guys think of him as a character?
I really liked him as an evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it kind of placed there, and I really appreciated him being a man of the people in so many people in London's eyes. They all viewed him as this really great guy. And
all that propaganda.
He works very hard to do that, especially showing mercy to the man they just took in that they were starting to beat. Oh, make sure he's fined for this. And I don't know, I appreciate that they show him putting such effort into making sure he looks like a good guy.
Yeah. I liked all that at the start. And actually, because he came from a slightly lower... I love how even after all this time, London's still, obsessed with classes as well. And, do you know what I mean? Just can't shake that off. And, he didn't actually come from... He sort of had risen the ranks a bit, because I think the mayor kind of threw it in his face a little bit, didn't he? Which I did.
I brought you up. I can.
Yeah, I can sort of take this away from you again. Which I did really enjoy. He was very cool, and like I said, he was very well played. I just towards the end, I had my little niggle with him.
It didn't feel like the people behind the wall were non-negotiable.
No,
it felt like you could go and speak to them and say, "We're going to do this. I've killed the old dude, whatever his name was,
the mayor."
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah, and so we're all gonna.
That's quite fun as well.
We're all gonna negotiate. We're gonna get negotiation. We're gonna come and live behind the wall.
Yeah, I quite liked that London still has a mayor as well. Actually, that was quite a fun little London reference. Well. Yeah, I feel like he's a famous someone as well. I couldn't place him, but we'll have to look him up later. And actually, that was something you were saying, Shelby, about the Greek mythology references and the fact that the sort of obviously the main weapon is the Medusa.
And it came out of Pandora's box.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. So, and actually, I suppose we haven't covered Tom. What did everyone think of Tom?
I thought at times his acting was a little bit weak.
Oh, wow.
As the actor.
Okay.
But I did enjoy his character, and he was funny in parts, which was good. And yeah, he had a good character development through the film. So it was nice.
Yeah, I like that archaeologists are somebodies in it. Not that they're not somebodies now. Obviously, archaeologists are still cool, but they were really, really important in this society, obviously, because of the things they're finding. And I thought he was cool. He had a Newt Scamander vibe, I think, without
That's probably why I was a little bit...
Yeah, I was going to say
probably. a little bit not into it. But...
A little bit foppish, yeah.
I appreciated that he didn't take away from Hester.
Yeah.
He did a good job of being a really good supporting role without taking it over, and it didn't feel forced in the way that, oh no, he's not important, but he's kind of important. I think they did a good job at putting him exactly where he needed to be in the story.
And they were really good together as well. I loved that scene when he doesn't leave her on that vehicle that looks like a little scuttlebug thing. And she's like, why didn't you leave me? And he's like, I couldn't leave you behind. And she's like, why? I would have left you. It was just it was so cold. And I believe at that moment as well, I really did believe her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at that point in the story, she would have left him. It wasn't until a little later, and maybe because he didn't leave her, it kind of changed. I think that was a turning point. Him.
Yeah. Definitely. By the time Fang comes along, and Fang's like, ditch the dude, and she's like, no, I can't now, kind of thing.
The fact that they... Oh, go ahead, Phil.
No, you carry on.
The fact that they pointed out multiple times so that it didn't go into that trope of, oh, now we're sharing sad stories. This is the part where we do that. She even says, we're not going to share our sad stories. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
I think that was a good way to make sure it didn't seem like that typical, well, this is that lull in the action where they go into their backstory and...
Yeah, it was clever, actually, yeah.
And she kind of told her story when she was ready to tell it as well. Because I'm pleased she did tell him the whole stuff with Shrike, because obviously it meant we got to see it as well. But yeah, you're right, Shelby. I think their relationship kind of happened very, very naturally, and they seem very much equals in this. I think from a girl's perspective here, it was cool to see these sort of female characters who were really up there in the forefront of things, and they were really driving the narrative forward. And I really, really appreciated that. It's something that we just don't get to see, and I was really but at the same time they didn't really fall into these tropes of that sometimes female characters can get in. Like I said, that's why I like that Hester wasn't she wasn't all nice all the time, you know. Sometimes she'd kind of lash out at people and she'd say stuff, and I really appreciate that. And it's the same with Fang as well. I thought there was a lot more to her, and she was she drove such a huge part. And at one point I was like, when they were coming into London at the end, and it's like Hester's been dropped off and Fang's been dropped off, and I was like, oh right, so the girls are dealing with this one then. That's great, you know.
Yeah, and whenever she gets her injury, he doesn't have to truly save her. I mean, she figures it out.
Yes, which kind of just grins and bears it. Really, it never properly gets. I feel like Anna did a little bit to help her, but she pretty much was like, well, I'll just have to get on with this then, which was cool. Yeah, like you say, there was no sort of rescuing going on, which is I'm always a fan of, to be honest. And I thought the scary scientist lady as well was super creepy, wasn't she? I was like, wow.
She's the one that makes the new resurrected men in the book.
Oh, okay. Oh, I could see that. I could totally see that.
I kept waiting for him to show up, but they never did.
She gives you that, you know, Nazi doctor vibe.
Yes.
Yeah. She's very much mad scientist-y, yeah.
Uh-huh. It did kind of
it's pretty like dreadful in the book. They take basically slave labor prisoners and work them until they die, and then they give them to her to turn into resurrected.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wondered what happened to all the people who got ingested by London. I did wonder how that's all going to pan out for them, because it must be...
It's more mouths to feed, isn't it?
I was going to say, it can't be a good thing, them taking them in. You know, I know he made it out to be like, oh, welcome to London, everybody. You know, and you're like, but they were taken there against their will, and they were trying to not be taken there. So I got the feeling that it wasn't pleasant for the people who arrived in London. I don't think they'd be, you know.
Yeah, I think they all end up in the gut, where they have to feed the stuff into the machines and do all the grunt work and not good stuff.
Well, Brian finished the last page of the book before we go in, and he goes, well, that was bleak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to see this movie now.
It's so good, though. But yeah, I'm honestly really curious how the story is going to continue, because at the end of the book, basically everyone is dead except for Tom and Hester.
Wow.
So it's a bit different than the end of the movie, where there's hope for the Londoners, and, you know, Catherine's still alive and Bevis is still alive, and a couple of the pilots are still there. But yeah, and interesting too, one of the other big things that's different, that didn't really make that much difference, except for the furthering of the story, is that they don't actually attack the wall in the book.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's a point where there's another large city that starts coming after London, and then they destroy that large city with Medusa.
Right.
And then they move toward the wall, but they never get there because they defeat it, and the actual Medusa, like, it's breaks down or something and destroys London, essentially. So
right.
At the end of the book, there is no London, and the wall is fine. At the end of the movie, London's still kind of there, the people are there, and the wall is jacked up. So it'll be interesting if they do carry on.
Well, London isn't really there anymore. They killed the
well, I mean, it could be rebuilt. The engine could be fixed. There's potential there that things could move again.
Was Valentine alive in the book by the end?
No,
okay. I feel like he might come back as a resurrected person.
That was one of my only things that I wanted, say, like Rome to come along and London to have a fight with Rome. Or something. That was kind of what I was hoping when they were building the weapon. I thought, that's where they're going, rather than going towards the wall.
I would love to see another European, like Berlin or Amsterdam or something. I'd love to see another European city in another film. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, if they are going to make more films, then I just don't think they're going to.
Imagine Vegas.
That would be rad.
Rolling through the desert.
That
Traction
city
Vegas.
is fine. I can't see that city not surviving at all.
Yeah, I can't see them making another film, actually.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think they finished... Oh, here we go. This is going to be 3 against 1 again. But they finished the film nicely. They go off into the future together. The Londoners are saved. They all live happily ever after. Or you can make up your own story, you know?
Or read the other 4 books in the series.
Yeah, but Brian's just said that the books don't finish the same as that, so it's different.
Yeah. I don't know. See, because I'm left.
I suppose it depends how it got on at the box office.
True.
That's really what matters. And it's to me, it's kind of like Star Wars, right? The end of A New Hope, that could have been the end, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how the story progresses, and I'm probably not going to wonder very long because I think I'm going to go get the next book and start reading it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was interesting actually that they went the route of actually firing the big bad weapon, because normally you get the countdown and then everyone runs in and I was like, not only did it fire, it fired twice. I was like, you don't really get to see that. It was really devastating actually to watch the damage that did to that wall. I was like, oh my gosh, this could be the thread for the next book, so to speak, if that wall's been so damaged, because now it's vulnerable.
Cities could get through,
yeah, exactly. Vegas is coming.
Vegas is coming. All kinds of shiny lights.
Oh man!
I've got this image
pyramid.
Of See
Caesar's Palace.
It's like
it would be kind of like, for another Mad Max reference, the one with the guy with the guitar.
Yes.
Except that times 1,000, and that's the Vegas Traction City.
We need the Bellagio.
Just all dressed as Elvis.
Yeah, to survive. Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine Dallas coming too.
Oh,
it would just be a giant cowboy hat on wheels.
Honestly, Texas is too Texas to even settle on one city. They would just call themselves Texas.
It would just be all the Texas towns would eat each other and just become the Traction City of Texas.
Yeah.
Yes.
So much scope
Absolutely.
here. There's so many cities I want to see.
Oh, I know, right? Like that's what you were saying at the beginning, just the world building, and that's part of why I enjoy it so much. Just the idea is terrific.
Yes.
And it's very original. It has an awesome steampunk feel, which I love that kind of, I don't know if you call it a genre, just that kind of aesthetic.
I loved the costumes in this film, actually. I loved all of their looks, especially actually the ones like London. I like
the policeman.
Yeah, he still looked like
the
bobbies.
Yeah,
and the mayor actually with his kind of like that cardinal vibe. But no, even like
he was Balin Greyjoy in Game of Thrones.
Oh, is that who he was?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense. But yeah, even like Catherine and Tom, like their whole look, like you say, it's that slight steampunk edge to them. I really enjoyed it. I thought it looked
and then when Anna Wang turns up in just complete red and just is completely different than everyone else in the scene.
And I thought I was like, well, she's from somewhere, she looked cleaner than everyone else. I know that they were in that really grotty like market, but yeah, she turned up and I was like, well, you look healthy, you're from somewhere better than this, she seemed and
you could see it, like initially when they came, you could see it under her like plane or whatever you want to call
her
it.
Ship, yeah.
Her ship like landing in the background being completely different colour than everything else. So it was very clever.
I loved her ship actually. I don't know what I loved it. It almost looked like a dragonfly or something.
Mm-hmm.
Really thought her ship was really, really cool. That's all I've really got to say about her ship. I don't know much about her.
It's not hers anymore, is it?
Cool. Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. And it's not
very cool.
hers. Yes. I liked it. Yeah, Tom got it.
The Air City. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Kind of looked like a brain, didn't it? Like a floating brain. I don't know.
Yeah. It was just like a bunch of patches of hot air balloons stuck together.
Yeah.
It did kind of look a bit like a brain, but that was very cool. I'm glad they kept that in.
Yeah.
What's that film I watched the other day?
Oh, Valkyrie.
Yeah, it was like the...
But not Valkyrie.
Valerian.
Valerian.
Where they all like come together and they just added all that. It seemed a little bit like that to me.
Yeah.
They just kept adding on to it.
Yes.
And more people were there.
I quite like that hodgepodge look.
Yeah.
Even London had the same, where stuff's been built around the old stuff, and yeah, I liked it. And it was the same with the wall. Like you could see how everything had grown out from the wall.
Well, the wall was there and things had been growing up the wall and stuff. It was really clever.
Yeah. I just thought, the look was really cool, and then the ship. I'm glad the little ship survived to the end as well, because I feel like it had some hairy moments. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was cool. It was just a visually very, very nice looking film, actually. Yeah.
So the film lived up to the book, Brian?
Yeah, I mean the book was better. I'm not gonna. If I had to go one versus the other, I would prefer the story in the book, but the movie does it justice. I think it does fall short with Catherine. I think, like you said, they might have been able to just keep her out of it, and it may have been better because her part was kind of awkward. But overall, just the only things I was really missing was just more things you have in the book. And as I actually told Shelby afterward, I think they succeeded in giving you a better idea of what Shrike was going through at the end than they did in the book, because the way that it kind of flashes through his memories, and then you finally see him get a memory of his true self.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was a lot more powerful visually than it was, because it was like 2 sentences, and you knew what he was going for, but he didn't spend as much time elaborating on it. And just that one image where you see the photograph and then it kind of becomes alive, and then you see that like that is who he was, and it's just, that was probably like the most powerful part of the movie. Like Shrike is so awesome. Yeah,
that was that was rough. That was really, his whole story. His whole story was hard. I kind of felt
I liked him.
Where it was going. Yeah, where it was going. When you start having these dolls, and then she finds the picture, and I felt like I knew where we were kind of heading with him.
And Hester looked happy.
Yeah, I wasn't
in
okay
all the
with it.
flashbacks.
She did. Yeah, they seemed to have this kind of happiness, the two of them. And then it was interesting, obviously, that she then became so motivated by vengeance. Which is not usually is not the best motivator. If you go looking for blood, you're probably going to get it, kind of thing.
Here's another question I'm going to put out to the group. Was it necessary for Hester to be Valentine's daughter?
Oh, like the I am your father moment.
Yeah.
You said it's more of a twist in the actual book, right, Brian?
Right. In the book, she has a mom and dad that get killed by Valentine.
Oh, okay.
And then we find out later that like that was not her actual dad. And her mom obviously got married, and that's how she became Pandora Shaw. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little silly because, I mean, the lady's name is Pandora. How many people named Pandora are they? But then Catherine figures out that Valentine, her dad, used to have an assistant whose name was Pandora that he was very close to, and it turns out that's the same Pandora as Pandora Shaw. And it's like, come on, you couldn't put that together.
Nah.
But at the same time, so it's a bigger twist because you think you know who her parents are until later you found out that her mom just got married to a guy after she had Hester.
It just felt like in the film it was a little bit cliche.
I almost thought he was going to say, I am your father. I was like, are we going to get this?
I mean, it's even in the same, like, kind of...
Yes!
Kind of moment, yeah.
She's down on the ground, or... No, she's not. I don't think she is. No, she's standing next to him.
She's certainly...
Trying to fight him.
Yeah, she's not got the upper hand in the situation. She's definitely against the ropes, isn't she? And, I was just like, is this going to happen?
That's not true. That's impossible.
Yeah.
I liked how she's like, whatever, fine, I'm just going to go with this and attack you.
The whole thing in the book was they were kind of playing it off against, like, Catherine was who Hester could have been.
Yes.
And it's real subtle throughout. They talk about how Catherine looks kind of like Hester if Hester hadn't got all mangled. And she's actually much worse in the book. Like, she's missing an eye. She's referred to as, like, hideous. and her nose is all like half jacked up. So yeah, they beautified her for the movie.
Well, they did. But it's like Tyrion, isn't it? He lost like his nose, and stuff like that. And they definitely they were a bit kinder on his scar as well.
And who knows? Maybe next movie they'll just move it around.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, the next movie it'll just be one little thing on her chin.
We're gonna make this more pretty because it's a bit ugly now.
Yeah.
No, I like their thought of that. That was my first. As soon as they had that reveal, my first thought was like this Hester Catherine, like, well, what the scope then for storytelling of those two meeting and how that would go down would be really interesting. But if she's dead in the book, then I'm not sure how that's going to go.
You should read the book though, because it's really cool what happens.
Okay, I will. I'll do that as
no spoilers. I'll let you read it. Maybe we'll have an off the shelf about it later.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So, as a roundup, we did it before when we discussed Grindelwald.
Ooh.
Out of 10. Soph, you're up first.
Oh, why did you make me go first?
Out of 10, what are you giving it?
8.
Shelby?
Solid 8.
Bryhan?
I would give it a 9. I'd go back and see it right now. I really enjoyed it, so I'm all in. I really like this IP. 9s for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I left, I'd give it a 7.5. But after talking about it, I'd give it an 8.5.
Oh.
I thought it was very visually pleasing. Gave me nostalgia of London.
Who'd have thought?
And there was enough little twists to keep me going and thinking, what's going to happen now?
Yeah. I think it's like Brian said, it's a really, really great IP. It was just nice to sit there and watch something totally different. There's a lot of scope here for some really great stories to go on. The characters were very compelling, I enjoyed all of them. I did. I really, really loved it. I'm so pleased we went to see it, because actually it probably isn't something, I'm going to get a little mushy on you here, had it not have been for this podcast, I might not have gone to see it. It was Brian saying, I'm reading this book and it's great, and we want to talk about the movie, that really chivied us to go and see it, didn't it? And it's I'm really, really pleased we did. And it's more books.
Well, you're welcome.
So, Shelby, where can people contact the pod and find the pod?
So if you're still listening on either Hyperspace Podblast or Bright Tree Radio streams, make sure you follow our new feed for Pods and Ends on iTunes. We're also on YouTube and anywhere else you listen to podcasts, whether that's Spotify,
Google Play, Podbean.
And you can find us...
Yeah, I don't know. There's 50 million of them. Just type in Pods and Ends and subscribe.
Find it. Yeah, just figure it out. We would really appreciate a review to let us know what you think of the new podcast. Drop some stars. It helps other people find it. You can interact with us. We love interacting with people. Thank you so much to Roku Depot for your comments on our last episode talking about Grindelwald. And you can follow us on Twitter at PNE_pod and find us on Instagram with the same handle.
You can email us at contact@podsandends.com. And you can also check out our website, www.podsandends.com, for not much content now, but more to come.
Yeah! Woo! So we will catch you guys later. Let us know what you think about Mortal Engines and everything else we talked about today.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao for now.
Listen to the new Pitbull song.
Bye! Ocean to ocean! Bye!